Good evening, everyone. Switch on your videos. Okay, so what did we learn in the last class? Hmm. Yeah, which stage was it that we learned yesterday? Reina, which stage did we learn yesterday?
Infancy.
Infancy stage. And which two developments did we learn, Elvina?
Motor development and motor development, sensory abilities,
And
and physical development.
okay, then what did we learn in motor development, Aishwarya?
We learned about the movements
What are the
and
main basic motor movements called in infancy stage?
grasp.
No, the whole category, starting with R.
I don't remember.
You remember? Meghna, do you remember?
Moro reflex, rooting reflex, grass
No, what is the category? The automatic
painting
movements.
responses to stimuli,
Yeah, what is that called?
reflex,
Reflexes. Okay, then Moro reflex. Yeah, you name some of the reflexes. Which are they? Moro, Meghna.
Moro reflex, grass reflex,
Yes,
Babinski reflex,
yes.
and rooting reflex.
Labinsky reflex and
Rooting reflex. Rooting reflex.
shooting reflex. Yes. Which are the reflexes that is present all throughout the lifespan? Ashish.
Sneezing,
Yes.
heartbeat,
But
breathing,
yeah, the three of them yesterday. Remember? Puffing, yawning, and blinking. Okay. Okay. Now we are moving on to the cognitive development. Did you all read the Piaget's theory? Yes. Anybody who didn't read? Anybody who didn't read? Put your hands up. I won't scold you. I just want to know. Ashish, you didn't read? Okay. Then Aishwarya didn't read. Okay. Anybody else? Amal, you read? Did you read? Others all read? Okay. So, who can tell me whatever you understood from the theory? Whatever you read, whatever you understood from that particular theory. What is the theory called? Piaget's theory? Anyone? Meghna? Krishna, Elvina, Reina, anyone? Amal?
Cognitive development.
Yes. Piaget's theory of cognitive development. And how many stages are there in that?
4 stages.
4 stages. Yes, Krishna, you're about to tell something. What did you understand from the theory?
From Piaget's
Anything?
theory.
Yeah.
He says that children, after they are born, they understand or they get views by observing what is happening around the world or what is happening around them. And each child goes through similar stages at different
Of
ages,
development. Yes.
different ages of development. Then they construct their understanding of the world by what is happening around them.
Yes.
And when a child is small, He doesn't think about things that are not things that he cannot see. He only thinks about what is in front of him.
Okay. That's it.
He only sees
Okay,
what
very
is in his vision.
good. Very good. So you all can study psychology without my help. Okay, so we'll start with that. And Piaget's theory, that's the main thing in the cognitive development part that we are going to study. So after the motor development, physical development, the sensory ability, sensory development, we move on to the cognitive development that takes place in infancy stage. And we mainly have Jean Piaget. Jean Piaget or Jean Piaget, people pronounce it in different ways. You can pronounce it in either ways that you like. So Piaget's cognitive development theory, it has mainly 4 stages, and that is given in your table 4.2, page number 72 in your textbook. But in terms of infancy, we just discussed the first stage, which is the first stage. Raina, did you read the first stage of Piaget's theory?
0 to 2 years.
Yeah, what is the name of the stage?
Sensor
Yeah,
motor.
sensory motor. First stage. Okay, Raina. Then children actively construct their understanding of the world. That is the major concept in this particular cognitive development theory by Piaget. Children actively construct their understanding of the world, which means the information from their environment, it does not go to and fro from their mind or brain. They actively construct it. That is, they observe things, they take in ideas, they form concepts, they adapt new information. They'll already have some set of information from the environment that they have already put in the mind. And again, if new information, if contrasting information comes in, they try to change the information that is already there in their mind. So they actively construct their understanding of the world, which means they don't just give in a passive mood. They just actively try. They try and modify this information. They engage in different stages of thinking throughout their development period of cognitive development. So that is the basic concept in the cognitive development theory. And additional information acquired, adapted, new ideas formed as they progress through different stages. So I already told you in Piaget's theory, we have 4 stages. And as the infants or as the children progress through these different stages, they when the additional information is acquired or additional information from the environment comes in, they adapt their already existing information and they adapt the new information into it. Their new ideas are formed as a result, and this process continues as they continue through the different stages of cognitive development. Then different ways of thinking in different stages. So when we consider a 2-year-old child, 2-year-old baby, and 11-year-old child, their thinking pattern is similar or dissimilar. How will it be? How will it be?
Similar.
Similar, yes. So, Ashish, please turn on your video. And so the thinking process, the ways of thinking is quite different in all the different stages. That is in the sensory motor stage, the pre-operational stage, in concrete operational stage, in formal operational stage. These stages are given based on different age periods. Regarding different ages or different age ranges, we have these 4 stages. And in all these stages, in different stages, we have different ways of thinking. That is what differentiates each stage from the other stage. And in the infancy period or in the infancy stage, the cognitive development stage that we have to deal with is the first one, that is sensory motor stage. It occurs from 0 to 2 years. Here, the experience, the baby or the infant experiences the world through senses and interactions with objects, that is looking, hearing, touching, mouthing, and grasping. So how does the infant or the baby interact with the world? Through senses and interacting with the object. So the physical part, the physical movements and the sensations, they are coordinated together in the sensory motor stage. That is why the stage has such a name, sensory motor. Motor means the movements, the physical movements, and sensory, that term refers to the sensation. So the infant coordinates the sensations along with the physical movements or the motor movements. That is what occurs in the sensory motor stage. And here the infant experiences the world. Experiences the world in the sense they interact with the world through these sensations as well as the coordinated motor movements. And which are the ways of interactions? Through looking, through hearing, through touching, mouthing, and grasping. These are the main methods through which the infant interacts. And yeah, again, what Grishma told, that point is coming here again. Newborn lives in the present, which means that they don't have anxiety or apprehensions about their future. They don't have any regrets or anything, grudges about their past. Okay, they just live in the present. Whatever is in front of them, they see it, they respond or react in such a way that it is limited to the present situation in front of them. And most of your videos are off. Please switch it on. Okay, that's what happens in case of the newborns. That is, they live in the present. For example, you might have seen babies who are playing happily when their mothers are away, because they don't realize that their mothers are away. But if they see their mother passing through in front of them, they start crying and they start throwing off tantrums, right? Have you seen that? Yeah. So that is because when the mother is not there, when they don't see the mother, they don't think about it. They just have live in the present situation. They play with the toys or with other people who is in the immediate situation. So they play. And when they see the mother, then they realize that their mother is missing. Understood? That is the main fact. Then another major fact about this particular sensory motor stages, the infants, they lack object permanence. They lack object permanence. Object permanence develops in another stage of cognitive development theory. And in this particular stage, that is the sensory motor stage, they lack the object permanence. And from the table, please read the characteristic of the sensory motor stage. Read. Amal, can you read out from the table 4.2? Read out the characteristic.
Sensory motor from 0 to 2 years.
Yes.
Infant explores the world by coordinating sensory experience with the physical action.
Okay. That is the thing that we discussed right now. The sensory experiences is coordinated with the physical actions. Sensory motor stage means sensations along with the motor movements or the physical movements. That is what happens in the sensory motor stage. And coming back to object permanence, I told you this stage, the infants in this stage lacks object permanence. Now we'll see what object permanence is. Yeah. Before that, haven't you played peekaboo or hide and seek with children, with babies? Yes. And if it is a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old baby, if you place your hands in front of your face, what will be their reaction? How will they react?
They try to open our arms.
Yes, they try to see what is behind the arms, right? That is your face. And what if you show a toy in front of them and again you hide it with a book, with a big book? Again, what will be the reaction? Aishwarya?
They'll try to move the book.
They try to move the book and they seek what is behind the book. Right? They try to grasp it, or they try to see what is behind the book, or they try to find the missing toy. So that is what object permanence means. The awareness that the objects continue to exist even when they don't perceive it. That is what is known as object permanence. They know that the object is permanent there. That is object permanence. The awareness that the objects continue to exist even when not perceived. So when we cover our face with our arms, or when we cover the toy with the book, in their immediate vision, it is not there. They don't perceive it, right? Our face or the toy is behind the arm or the book. So they don't perceive it, they don't see it as such. But they know that something exists there. That is object permanence. And gradually, by 8 months of age, this child starts perceiving the object partially covered in his or her presence. By 8 months of age, this happens. But the newborn, I already told you, newborn lives in the present. They don't know something beyond that or behind that. The newborn lives in the present, and so they lack object permanence. And object permanence develops only in later stages and not in the sensory motor stage. Okay? Understood? And then we have a small paragraph about the verbal communication. The basis of verbal communication is present in infants, and vocalization begins around 3 to 6 months. That is regarding their babbling and their cooing sounds. And initially, what happens is as we discussed yesterday, they start crying. They communicate in their own language or in their own ways of communication. They cry. They make cooing sounds. They show certain they try to make small noises and try to interact with their caretakers or their parents. That's what happens. And by 3 to 6 months of age, they start to babble. They make babbling sounds and try to communicate their needs. Okay, that's about the verbal communication. So again, what was the first stage of Piaget's theory of development, cognitive development? Dirishma?
Sensory motor.
Sensory motor stage. And which is the age range? Ashish? Age range of sensory motor stage?
0 to 1, 2.
0
0
to?
to 2.
0 to 2 years. Okay. And the main thing that you have to remember is they lack object permanence. They live in the present. Then the main thing about the sensory motor stage. From the name itself, you can write it. That is, they coordinate the sensations along with their physical or motor movements. Okay? Any doubt in this cognitive development? Anyone? No. Okay. So we are moving on to the socio-emotional development. Yes, what do you know about the socio-emotional development? About, I mean, in the infancy stage. How do babies socialize? Do they convey or communicate their emotions? Yes, are they social beings? What are your opinions? Elvina, what is your opinion?
Ma'am, question.
Okay. What is your opinion about babies being social beings? How do you think they communicate their social feelings or emotions?
By crying for something they wanted. They
That is when they're distressed.
or when they feel disturbed, they usually get showing that crying and disturbed by when they are disturbed, whether in socially.
Okay, okay. What happens when they're happy or when they are in a good mood?
They started smiling or playing.
Okay, that's it.
Then
Okay, so to show their distress, what they generally do is again they make cooing sounds or they start crying, they start to throw tantrums and they make all the fuss out there. And if they are happy, they show their affection through smiling, through hugging their parents around if they are around 1 to 2 years. Yes, that's what generally happens. So one major thing that we have to learn in socio-emotional development in infancy stage is attachment. The whole concept of attachment. This is the basis, the basic stage where attachment really has to develop properly. Otherwise, it does a lot of problems to the development of the child in other stages. So, what is attachment? The close emotional bond of affection that develop between infants and their parents or caregivers is known as attachment. So, the bond that is developed, bond of love, care, and affection that is developed between the infant and their parents. If they don't have the biological parents or the immediate parents, then it is the bond between, I mean, attachment is the bond between the infants and the caretakers. Like for orphans, there might not be parents available in their immediate environment. So the people who take care of them, people who provide them food, people who provide them nourishment, love and care and affection, we call them caretakers. And usually we call them primary caretakers. And in that case, the attachment is the bond between the infants and those caretakers or caregivers. Okay. So again, what is attachment? Who understood? Aishwarya?
The close emotional bond between the infant and the parents or the caregivers.
As attachment. Now we have a very, very important and interesting study. We have learned this in degree. We have to learn this in the PG also if you are opting psychology. So this is a very classic study in the field of attachment in the field of psychology also, and it was conducted in the year 1962. It is Harlow and Harlow conducted the study. And if you are going to conduct a study and if you are publishing, and if I'm referring to the study, then suppose if Grishma and Ashish together is conducting a research and it is being published in a journal and we have it in a psychology textbook, I'm quoting it. And the how do I quote it? It would come as in the following way. That is Benny and Joshi 2020 in brackets. That's how the study comes. Okay, usually the last names are used. So again, back to the study. This particular study was conducted in the year 1962 and it was conducted among baby monkeys. Okay, so what happened is after 8 hours of birth, once these baby monkeys were born, after 8 hours, they were separated from their biological mothers. Okay, understood? Once they were born, after 8 years of their birth, they were separated from their biological mothers and they were taken into experimental chambers or in an experimental setup. And what happened is they were reared or they were taken care of by two sets of surrogate mothers. The surrogate mothers, in the sense, it was one was made of a wire mesh, and the other one was made of soft cloth. Okay, and again, I just give you the situation once more. The babies, after 8 hours of birth, they were taken away from their, or they were separated from their biological mothers, and they were reared by two sets of this surrogate mothers. Surrogate mothers in the sense they were not the human mothers. They were made up of wire mesh. One set was made up of wire mesh and the other set was made up of cloth. Okay, and half of the baby monkeys they were fed by the cloth mother. a feeding bottle was attached to the cloth mother, and half of the set of monkeys, baby monkeys, were fed by the cloth mother, and half of the baby monkeys were fed by the wire mesh, the wire mother. Okay, that is the main experiment that happened. And after providing all these food and nourishment and all, what happened or what the experimenters observed is that most of the baby monkeys, they preferred the cloth mother to the wire mesh mother. Even if they got the food or even if they got the milk from the wire mother, they preferred the cloth mother and they went and hugged the cloth mother. And this study, the result of the study shows the importance of contact comfort. Even if the food is provided, even if the nourishment is provided, that's not what is important here for the monkeys. What was important was the comfort that they got while they were in contact with the cloth mother. I'll show you the picture. See, this is the situation. They had the cloth mother and they also had the wire mother. But even though this particular monkey got the food from the wire mesh mother or the wire mother, they preferred to be with the cloth mother. Understood? They preferred to have that comfort when they got by hugging the cloth mother because it was soft and it was very comfortable for them. They got physical comfort from that. They were attached to this particular cloth mother than the wire mother. Understood? The comfort, the contact comfort is more preferred, is more important than the food and nourishment. That is what the study concluded. Understood the experiment? Yes? Who can tell this? Who can explain? Anyone? Yes, maybe.
The Harlow and Harlow in 1962 conducted the baby monkeys experiment. After they were born, after 8 years, they took the baby monkey and put it in with a, there was a wire mother and cloth mother, and the wire mother they gave the nourishments and food, but the baby monkey preferred the cloth mother even though they get the nourishment and food from the wired mother.
Okay. They were divided into two groups. That is, half of them were fed by the wire mother, half of them by the cloth mother. Even though even though some of them got their nourishment from the wire mother, they also preferred to be with the which mother?
Cloth.
Which mother, Ashish? Wait.
Cloth.
Okay. Cloth. Okay, very good. So that is about one theory in the social emotional development. That is regarding the attachment theory or regarding the attachment study. Now we have human babies also who show this kind of attachment, right? Attachment towards the parents, attachment towards the caregivers. So some of the children or some of the babies, they might be very attached and feel very safe with their parents or caretakers, while others, they'll always be crying, they'll always have their insecurities, they'll show fear attitudes towards the environmental factors or towards any other elders that they see. To any unfamiliar faces also, they show very much strange feelings and feared reactions. And in that case, we have another theory, that is Erik Erikson's theory. And in this also, we just have the first stage to study. In reality, Erik Erikson's theory contains 8 stages. The theory is known as psychosocial stages of development. Please note it if you know. Psychosocial stages of development. Okay. Erik Erikson's theory of psychosocial development. That is the theory, and it has mainly 8 stages. And in infancy, we just consider the first stage, and the first stage is known as trust versus mistrust. And in the rest of the stages, we have everything like this, termed like this, something versus something. There is autonomy versus shame and doubt, industry versus again another thing like that. Okay. So the first stage is trust versus mistrust. And the first situation that happens, how we'll see how trust is developed or how mistrust is developed. In this particular stage, what happens is either the child develops trust towards the caretakers and towards the rest of the world, or they develop a feeling of mistrust towards everything. Okay, that's the first stage. And how trust is developed, we'll see that. If the parents are sensitive, affectionate, and accepting, then the infants develop a secure attachment towards them. They have a feeling of security. So if the parents show the love and care and the affection towards them, then they feel secure. They have a secure attachment towards the parents or caretakers. They form a secure bond. They understand that this is a very secure place. I am safe in the hands of my parents. So they feel safe. They feel that the world in itself is a safe place to live in. Okay, they understand, they get such a feeling that the world is itself a safe place to live in. That is what happens when the trust is developed. So there, the trust is developed in the parents or caretakers and the entire world. Now, if the opposite happens, that is, if the parents are insensitive, shows dissatisfaction and finds fault with children. They keep on scolding the children. They don't really reciprocate to the needs of the children. They don't mind the children. That is, they ignore the children when they cry and all. And if this happens, then they develop only an insecure attachment. That is, the bond between the parents and the infants won't be strong. It won't be close. They won't be close to each other. So what they develop mistrust. Okay, that's what happens. And the other situation was the parents were sensitive to the needs of the child. They showed their affection. They cared a lot. They loved. They expressed their love, and they were accepting towards the child. So the infant developed the secure form of attachment. And what developed there? What developed?
Trust.
As a result, trust developed. And how does the mistrust develop? The parents were insensitive, they showed dissatisfaction, and they always tried to find faults with the children. So, insecure attachment was again developed between the infant and the parents or the caretakers. And then, what developed as a result?
Mistrust.
Trust developed as a result. So, this is the first stage of Erik Erikson's theory, that is trust versus mistrust. And this is how the trust or mistrust develops. So, in the case of trust, if trust is the one developed in the child, if they have secure attachment, they feel free to be exploring in the world. That is, if they are taken to a play area, they feel free to go there, explore the place, and they know that the parents are there to take care of them because they have a secure attachment to the parents. So they don't mind playing with the things, exploring the toys, exploring the new things in their environment. They go out and explore. But if it is with the other set of kids who have an insecure attachment, that is a mistrust is developed, then they don't feel free to explore things. They'll always have fear because they don't feel secure with their parents or the caretakers. So they always have a fear in them, and as a result, they always start crying when they see unfamiliar faces. If they are separated from their parents, they shout a lot, scream a lot, cry a lot, and again make a fuss out of everything there. But if it is the case with the children who have a secure attachment and the trust has developed, then they easily go and play with the other kids. They easily go in the hands of other elders and they interact in a very pleasant manner. Understood? So this is the reason why we have two sets of babies. One with the playful and very pleasant mind, and the other set of babies who really create a mess in any situation possible. Okay. Understood? Okay. So this is all about our infancy stage. I hope the question is over. Yes. Infancy stage, what all did we learn? starting from motor development. What all did we learn? Ashish. Ashish. Go. Amal, do you know? Give me some points that you learned in infancy stage. Yes.
Cognitive development.
No, starting with the motor development.
Ma'am, there different type of motor developments. Reflex.
Reflexes are the main things in that. Yes.
Ma'am, physical.
Which are the reflexes?
Rooting. Moro.
Moro.
Grasping.
Okay.
Babinski.
Babinski. Then the other reflexes that continues through the lifespan.
I'm breathing.
That's the example that Ashish gave. What did we discuss in class? Blinking.
I'm blinking. And that sensation when we
Yawning. Did you understand or you? What is the problem?
I think I forgot about that.
But tomorrow when you come, everybody read till this topic. Okay, everybody, you have to read till page number 72. Compulsory. Okay, I'll ask questions tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll start with the childhood development. So, any doubt in today's portion?
And then Harlow and Harlow are two persons or one person?
Two. Harry Harlow is one among them. He is the one known for the study attachment. Anything else? Any other doubt? Did you understand the experiment? The monkeys with the monkeys? Yes, that's clear. Then the other one that we learned was Erik Erikson's theory. That's also quite easy, right? In real life examples, we have seen many babies like that. And this is the theoretical part of why they are like this. So when you see such babies, ask their parents to give them a secure attachment, probably. Okay. Then, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.